Hey, buddy. That's super interesting. Um, it is possible that it's from the frequency. One of the things that's happened um, over a number of years that I've noticed is that there will often be side effects. Um, Sometimes there's similar side effects across users. Other times there's like anomalous, like one-off ones. Um, I don't always know for sure how or why some of those side effects will occur. An educated guess is typically with most of the tracks, except for possibly some of the substance emulations, like one of the render engines that I use when I'm creating SOS patterns is basically that it creates like a much more coherent state in the body and mind. So what's a good way to explain this? You, what you basically have is a for any given SOS pattern, there's an overriding theme. And so that theme usually has a specific order and structure that's meant to facilitate that theme becoming embedded. So, that pattern starts to resonate in the body. But what I believe happens in some cases is that since you have situations where you'll have different people with different kinds of, incoherent states, so types of noise that's in the system, an argument could be made along the lines of, well, isn't all noise the same? And I don't know if that's entirely true. I think what happens is in a person's body, like systemically, you'll have different types of discontinuities. And that's the same thing with the mind. So a really simple example would be you could take two different people or half a dozen different people. They may all be experiencing some type of chaos in their body and or mind, but they may not be related to the same thing. So in your particular situation, when that pattern comes in, it may have been something where the pattern was affecting an area for you that had a certain association. So if you were looking at your environments and you felt like, there was something in your environment that was requiring more order, then on a subconscious level, the frequency could have imparted an impulse that would bring that to the forefront. So it's a really interesting question. Like to give you an idea, there was some kind of a frequency that I was experimenting with. This has happened actually in a few different situations. One of the very first frequencies I made was for sore feet, but it was very generalized. It was a very generic, it was basically like a simple instruction set that was meant to just minimize pain, like in feet. And the first time I had like a profound sensation with it, it was very unusual and specific. I was happy with the result. I didn't exactly at the time understand how it was doing what it was doing and why it was working the way that it was. And that frequency actually ended up becoming quite popular with members who also had sore feet. And I got a lot of positive feedback from it, but I never got any feedback that I can remember for that track where people had the same kind of sensations. So they did notice an effect, but I never got any descriptions back. Because the sensations I had with that frequency, they were very specific and very unusual. And I just never got that feedback. And then in some situations, one side effect would be I had a buddy who I'd given a bunch of tracks to, and he was experimenting with them. And I can't remember what the track was that he picked, but it had some kind of specific theme for it. and he used it, he looped it, and he played it for, it might have been like an hour or a couple of hours. And then we were talking about it afterwards, and I said, well, how did that go for you? And I think he said something along the lines of that, well, he felt great at first, but then he said after a while he felt like he was getting a bit of a mild headache. And then that kind of puzzled me, and I thought, well, why would you get a headache from that track? And then I had asked him, well, when you played that track, did you feel like there was an issue that you wanted the track to address? And he kind of laughed and he said, oh no, I felt fine. And the instruction set in that frequency was something along the lines of providing support for a specific issue. But what he told me was that he didn't feel like he actually had the specific issue. He just wanted to try the track and see what would happen. So one of the things that we've noticed is that there seems to be like a loading time. So similar to if you're taking supplements, some supplements you might not notice any significant effect until you've had enough loading doses, so that there's a threshold that's reached in the body. And what can happen sometimes with some tracks, especially the ones that have a powerful cadence, is it's like you've charged the battery, but if you keep using the frequencies past that threshold, then you might feel some discomfort. And then there's other tracks that I would have designed for like a very specific, like biological issue, and then people would report seeing like really strong visuals, like they would see things like floating in the air. And this was coming from people that, as far as I knew, because I'd had enough interactions with them, there wasn't, an issue of mental instability or a propensity, for tripping themselves out and seeing hallucinations. And then in other cases, people would claim that they were witnessing some kind of externalized phenomena. So yeah, it is common for people to use a number of different SOS tracks and experiencing, mostly positive side effects. Anytime the side effect is uncomfortable, usually what happens is it's either been overused, and then if they, decrease the volume or decrease the frequency of use, everything clears up. Or it might be a situation where they really need the track and something in their subconscious is resistant to change, and it might manifest as a form of discomfort at first, but when they persist, then they feel fantastic. But it is common it is common for side effects to occur. And I don't have a full explanation for all of that, for all the tracks. Like, I'm making an educated guess. But what I expect is that because people, tend to have individual and unique constitutions, and they also have like their own specific kind of, mental, emotional state going on, the tracks, are usually, how do I say this? Most of the SOS pattern directives, so tracks that have a specific theme in mind, they might shake disorder or chaos out in different ways. So the track that you listen to, somebody else might listen to, and they might get like a similar kind of impulse. But instead of cleaning up their room, there might be something else that just, percolates up that they feel that they should address. I hope that answers the question. Also, if I don't use your name, can I share your story? I don't know if this helps, but a simple explanation might have been something along the lines of, in your particular case, there might have been a sense that you needed order in the environment, and that the frequencies, would have brought that to the forefront of your mind.